The basis of this amendment is Senator Toomey's Full Faith and Credit Act. And it's very important, and it simply says if we ever as a country reach our debt ceiling, then even if we go beyond the debt ceiling, we will use all the tools available to the Treasury Secretary to continue for as long as possible to pay, to make good on U.S. debt. We're not going to immediately default on U.S. debt. Madam President, there's been a lot of scare tactics, in my opinion, suggesting that if we ever reach that day of bumping up against our statutory debt ceiling, the very next day, the very next hour, the U.S. would default on its debt, not make good on our obligations of the U.S. Treasury. That isn't true. It doesn't have to be true, and this important reform will ensure that it's not true. We get far more revenue into the U.S. Treasury than has to be spent simply to service the debt. So the underlying Toomey bill, which is the heart of this amendment, says we will make good on those obligations. They will be the top priority. The original Vitter amendment, which is now merged together with the Toomey amendment, says the exact same thing with regard to Social Security payments. Madam President, I'm sure we would all agree that seniors on fixed incomes depend on their Social Security checks. So the Vitter part of this now merged Toomey-Vitter amendment says that we will honor Social Security payments in the same status as debt payments, and we will use federal revenues first for those purposes before we do anything else. And what that means, Madam President, if we ever do bump up on the debt ceiling, we would not stop Social Security checks the next day. We would not stop Social Security checks the next month. We could go many weeks, probably a few months, honoring all of those commitments in the areas of Social Security and debt on U.S. Treasury notes. So that is the purpose of this now merged Toomey-Vitter amendment. We're not suggesting that it's necessarily a good idea to bump up on the debt ceiling. We're just saying let's all take a deep breath. Let's not use scare tactics. Let's not use hysteria. Let's plan ahead. What we hope will be the outcome is that we will not only deal with the debt ceiling in a responsible way, but before that we'll also deal with our underlying fiscal crisis in a responsible way. We'll make real and serious budget reforms to get on a fiscally sustainable path, which we're clearly not on right now.